broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzz fans. Welcome back to another episode of Public Morals, Season 1, Episode 6, A Good Shooting, although we were just discussing the fact that it was a good multiple shootings.
Plural.
Yeah, there was some gunfire going on. I'm your host, Roxy Striar, and I'm so excited to talk about this episode tonight. I'm going to introduce my panel, and then I'm going to show you guys that we have a very special guest here. So I'm sitting next to Phil Svitek.
I'm back.
You're back.
I made one
Missed
episode, and I built this studio, and now I'm back.
Yeah, we really missed you. We did. So I'm glad to have a male's perspective on the show.
I missed this show.
Although Ladies' Night was pretty fun. We got Anna Koppel.
Hey, y'all.
Where can the people find you, Anna?
Koppel from Mayor, KOPPELFORMAYOR.
And we've got Christina Kaplan.
What's up, guys? You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at TinaCap.
But more importantly than any of us on the panel right now, we have, you guys know her as Christine. We know her as Liz Misucci. She is sitting here on our couch, and we're so happy to have you.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Yeah, we appreciate it. We told you we're super fans of this show, so it's a really great thing that you're here to join us and talk to us about this episode and your character in general.
Yeah, I love talking about the show, so I'm
This
glad
was
to
a
be
great
here.
episode for you.
Yeah,
It really was.
It was a good timing to come in on this one.
Huge.
Yeah.
And we'll get more into that, of course, about your character, but I will say that we were all thinking as we were watching the show, you really showed a lot of emotional range tonight. It was a big deal for your character.
Yeah.
We saw what's actually going on inside, which we haven't been able to see. We've just seen it from Terry's perspective.
Right, yeah, it's nice to show the other side because there's a lot of subtext and to get to play that out and see how it turns out for the couple. It's cool.
Yeah, it was cool for us.
I thought there was a real turn in the relationship tonight because I've mostly been seeing sort of like a nagging wife, right? But tonight I feel like there was a lot of sort of reverence for the marriage and sort of deflecting to Terry's desires and I don't know. I enjoyed the turn.
Yeah,
So-
it's nice that it was written in a way that it can get flushed out a little more and you can see like what she's actually feeling and instead of just being nagging, being like, why are you doing this, we need to move, like to actually see some vulnerability and emotion behind it can make you empathize with her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I felt that tonight. And in case people want to be talking to you, which I'm sure they do throughout the show or throughout the weeks when you're not on TV, where can they find you? Instagram, Twitter?
On Twitter, I'm Liz Misucci, at Liz Misucci, and then on Instagram, it's Elizabeth Misucci.
Awesome. Well, I hope that everybody goes and follows her because I follow her on Twitter. She tweets
Gotta
good
keep
stuff.
it professional for the gram, you know?
Exactly.
And you guys, as always, can find us at AfterBuzz TV, AfterBuzzTV.com, YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV, on iTunes, on SoundCloud. We like to say wherever you are, we are there too. But in less creepy terms than that, right? Wherever you are, we are too.
Before we fully dive too deep into the specific episode, I do want to ask, the show seems very well plotted, right? And one of the things that we were discussing very early on, the first episode, was how long it was going to take to find out who the killer was. And so the fact that we found out episode 2, was very shocking to at least me, and I know we kind of discussed it. So I want to know, like, from as actors, how much did you guys know going into it? Because talking about you specifically, you mentioned that subtext. So like, how far in advance did you know where you were going as a character?
Not very far. I mean, we would get the script like a week before we started shooting. So really, I feel like you have to make an intuitive decision about what kind of character you're playing and their personality. But, the first season's tough because you're learning what Ed's writing and what you want to put into it, and you're building the character like week to week. So we don't know much what happens prior.
It doesn't come off like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you know everything and we know just about nothing while it's happening.
Well, that's good, because I guess that's the point, is that we are fully developed people and we are living a life, and you guys are just watching these people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it seems like. I feel like you guys have, I don't know, maybe 5 scripts ahead right now. Because I wasn't like we talked about, I wasn't expecting this from your character tonight. I wasn't expecting to see all of these developments. So that's really cool.
Good, yeah, and I think it's good that you guys maybe wanted to see more of her, and maybe it's good that it happened now as opposed to later in the season, because
We still have time to see more now.
yeah, exactly.
Not that there will only be one season. We're praying for at least 10.
Yes.
We actually, I think we talked about that last week on Ladies' Night.
Yeah.
We're rooting for 10 seasons. Okay, so let's get into tonight's episode because it was amazing, and I wanted to start by talking about Patton and Mike. So I was not picturing Mike to pick up this phone and be like, hey, by the way, you wanna get that drink that we talked about, Patton? We know that he's kind of been snooping around a little bit, figuring this out, but he's really taken matters into his own hands tonight. What did you guys think about this?
Well, so first of all, the granddaughter's back. I know you've been waiting for her.
Rosemary.
Yeah.
I've asked about her every single week. Thank you for reminding me
I
to
mean,
say that.
she made a very slight cameo,
But she took the money, and we were supposed to pay attention to that, so I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So I love their interaction. I love that. And you could tell there was like some sort of, they're in the day. There was like this rivalry. That's their nemesis, right?
Back in the
They're
day.
Back in the day. And now they're just, both kind of retired and sitting and reminiscing. I just loved it. I just thought it was just a very honest moment, and again, like some more depth into the characters. And
But how honest could it be when when they got down to business? There was no actual exchange, and I very specific with his words. Patton was.
I don't think that Patton does know though.
What do you mean?
yes,
doesn't
he
know?
knows. He knows that Rusty killed O'Bannon.
He does?
Yes.
Yes.
Because remember
Yes.
he was
Remind
all.
me.
He freaks out on him.
Yeah, he was all upset. Like, God, how could you do this?
It is hard to keep it straight. Who
yeah,
knows what?
yeah,
It's hard to
that's-
keep it straight. Who knows what? But what I will say is that Patton gave a very, and I'm not talking about the actor. I'm talking about the character. Gave a very believable speech tonight that he didn't know what was up. If I was Mike, I would have been like, oh yeah, okay, he doesn't know, and if he knows, then he'll try to find out. Mike read right through that immediately. Yeah. So we know that they've interacted so many times that Mike can read Patton's crap. I'm really interested to figure out what that back in the day storyline is. How well do they know each other? How long have they been shooting the crap for? So like, I think that was really fascinating. That Patton immediately was like, I didn't know, and Mike was like, yes, you did.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you actually say that, because that seemed like the most generic speech in the world. If I will, number one, I will find out who it is, and you will be the first call I make.
Well, don't you feel
Haven't
like
you heard that every time?
when he talked to Terry, I felt like Terry was like, you're not going to tell me anything, are you? And he's like, no, I'm not. It wasn't like, I don't know anything. My hands are clean. If I knew, I would tell you. It was just kind of like, listen, I'm not going to say anything. But he tried to convince him he didn't know. So that's what I mean by convincing. Otherwise, I feel like he's the kind of guy who would just have said it straight. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
because
I
he
know.
went all the way out there to talk to him.
Right. What did he think he was
So-
going out there for, then?
Yeah, it's like they were having a nice little chat about being an actor, and then it was like, okay, so tell me what you know, and he's like, yeah, I'll call you if I find out.
Right. That's a great point you brought up. It had one of my favorite lines, the actor lines that we have
Yeah.
here. But he says, you ever wonder what your life would have been like if you had done something completely different? I feel like that just kind of summarized the show a little bit. There's so many characters that I could have pictured saying that. If you had told me last week that one of the characters this week says those words, I could have said 6 people who would have said that. So I love that moment, that actor moment.
It was interesting too because they both kind of were poking fun at each other's true professions. Like in a like, oh, old friends type way. They were making jabs at Mike being the cop, and then at Patton being the gangster. It was like subtle, like little pokes about their job, but it was somewhat lighthearted too. It was.
I think it's like the history.
Yeah.
They've known each other a long time, even though they don't agree with each other on a lot of things.
Right.
It was nice to see like 2 men that kind of been around the block, just kind of shooting the shit,
Yeah, and they both accept what each other is.
Yeah.
Is Mike in over his head? Is this like, he's starting on a bad path and he's really going after it now? He's talking to Pat and he's going to keep going, and we think something bad's going to happen to him? Or are we thinking he can handle this because he was a cop for so long and whatnot?
I disagree with it because Terry's not on his side.
You disagree with what?
With Mike doing this.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I think he is against. I think he is over his head. I mean, look at what as we obviously talk about Terry. I don't think Mike's I think he's lost a little bit of his edge. And again, I think he'll need Terry and everyone else to be able to do that. And I think he'll act more like Sean, if he ever is presented with a situation like that again.
How do you guys feel? Like he's in over his head, or like he can handle this?
I don't think he's in over his head. I mean, he's definitely the guy, but it's kind of like saying that Terry's in over his head when he goes and talks to his stoolies. Like, yeah, they're criminals and they're gangsters and whatever, but I think that they're also seasoned cops and they know how to interact with these people.
But look at Patton's mentality. He never took a vacation because he didn't want to leave the neighborhood. That was, even a couple days was too long for him.
That's Patton, though. That's not Mike. I feel like Mike kind of washed his hands clean of this a little bit ago.
But that could be considered arrogance and the part of, like, now you want to get back into it.
I think that, I don't think Mike's in over his head, but I think that he is, like, poking the bear. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Or poking the bee's nest, whatever it is. Like, something could blow up in his face if he keeps trying to dig.
Here's why I asked the question, and we'll talk more about this later, but I feel like Mike is going in all of the places where he is not wanted right now. He's giving his advice or he's trying to figure it out. So we've got this situation with Patton, and that Terry already told him, don't talk to Patton about this. And then Mike goes and tries to talk to Terry's wife, Christine, and he's trying to set, he's sticking his nose in Terry's business in all these different places. So I feel like something bad's going to happen to Mike, or something bad's going to happen to the Mike-Terry relationship. Because then when you go after somebody's wife and you say, listen, I don't care what your husband says, he's always been full of crap. This is the deal.
He seems to be getting under Terry's skin, but like really going for it, not like in a passive way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
But these are two completely different. Like, I actually agree with the Christine and Mike solution. I think that's I think they should go after that.
but it's not his wife. It's not his wife. Well, okay, we'll get more to that after the dinner.
Yeah. It's tricky with the in-laws and the family. It's like your family, but you're crossing the line when you come into the house and say, oh, we'll find you another house. Like,
right.
Wait, you got to consult your husband.
It's kind of disrespectful, but it's also helpful. It's that weird balance. Okay, of course we will get there.
We'll get it,
Yeah, we'll get there. Anna, I know you have something to say. You can't forget it, though.
I don't know. I'll try. I'll remember it.
Okay.
But Phil, to your point, that if this relationship is damaged, then when the time comes when Mike does need Terry's help and that relationship is fractured, I mean, that could present a problem for Mike.
Absolutely.
I agree.
We already know that situations between son and father on the show have been messed up with Sean and his dad, so I wouldn't be surprised if Mike and Terry were splitting up right now, and then maybe eventually getting back together. We'll see how that works out. But okay, I want to talk also about the situation with Duffy and Babs and Sean and Deirdre. We've got this weird, it's a love square.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Usually we're talking triangles here, but I guess we're talking squares. So Duffy and Babs are out together at this bar. By the way, he did seem like a really good dancer.
Yeah, he actually is a really good dancer in real life. And they had a choreographer for like a day or something and we were watching them. I was like, that's really fun. I want a dance scene.
Yeah.
Like, take me out on a dance.
Okay, but you just got to go to a hotel and you just had a whole good scene. So,
I want a tango or something fun.
Did you guys hear that, writers? You hear that?
Yeah.
Ed, what's going on? She wants a dance.
Doing on the dance floor.
So they don't meet at the bar, but they re-meet at the bar. They both know who each other are. And Babs is wasted. Like, very, very drunk. Didn't know how drunk she was until we get back to the place, though. Were you guys surprised with how quickly Babs was willing to hook up with Duffy? Did you feel like this was all payback? Did you think she kind of liked him?
I think it was definitely payback because, I mean, let's be honest, Duffy is not the most attractive person and he's not a good guy either. He just got out of jail and she's like...
You mean attractive like what he's done? He's been to prison?
And Babs is like talking, about Sean being a bad guy for Deirdre so it's obvious that it was just payback.
I don't think so. I think this is going somewhere. Yeah. I think that she has a little bit of a... Yeah, no,
It's not going to Greenwich, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably not going to Greenwich.
Duffy's not going to Greenwich.
Yeah, but I think she's into it, and I think that the being drunk was just like... it's okay. I don't know, she has like some sort of, shame about it or whatever. Like, this isn't somebody that she should be dating. So the alcohol is like, oh, I was drunk. Whatever, it's fine.
I think she's attracted to him. I feel it when I watch it. But yeah, I think there's a stigma around a cop. Like, she keeps bringing up, oh, do you really want to date a cop? So
Right.
I think she knows that she wants something better or whatever for her life. But I think there's a certain, like, chemistry, and when you're drunk, like it could come out.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree. I could see the fireworks between Duffy and Babs, and even later when we have the Babs Deirdre conversation, I feel like they wouldn't have included that if we're not supposed to be on the lookout for this relationship. When Deirdre's like, "Tell me you're not actually going for Patrick." Oh my God, he's such a little. What does she call him? Like a little worm or something?
Yeah.
Like that's how I mean, my brother's a really good guy, but when I'm talking about him, I'm like, he's such a little
Yeah,
thing. You look
I
at your
think that
family.
whole scene was improvised too.
Really?
Like Eddie,
That's cool.
what Lyndon told me is that he was like, "We need something lighter. We want to put in something after you sleep with him or whatever after that night." And they kind of just riffed, and that I think maybe she just came up with that on the spot.
That's awesome.
So interesting that you say that, because when I was watching, it felt like girl talk.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was.
Like they were just
it wasn't
kinda-
scripted.
It made me
great.
feel uncomfortable because they were talking about the brother, but it's supposed to make you feel
Yeah,
uncomfortable. I
yeah.
think they like grabbed Tina Kaplan's arm. I was like, "Ooh, this is so awkward!" Like the way she's talking right now
Yeah.
about her brother. I know. I think they totally would have gotten it on too if Babs hadn't been too drunk.
Yeah.
Anna's like, "Duh, Roxy."
Yeah, but you know what I appreciate about him is that he's not a date rapist.
Yeah, that's true.
great. Yeah,
You
10
let her-
points at least, you know? Like,
Pass on the couch.
It was also a great kind of example of the differences between a brother hooking up with a brother hooking up with a sister's friend and a sister hooking up with a brother's friend. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
saw how Duffy attacked the situation, and we saw how Deirdre was like, kind of like, "Oh, I just can't believe you would go for him because he's gross." Whereas Duffy was like, "I told you to stay away from my sister." Da, 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 da. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that wasn't the weird part to me. It wasn't strange that Deirdre was kind of upset about it. It wasn't strange that Duffy was kind of upset about it. It's strange that Babs is so upset about it. Because nobody's hooking up with your family members. Like, this is your. Because she seemed like the one who was most upset. She's trying really hard to convince Deirdre not to see Sean. Do you think that's because Deirdre has a track record of this, or that Babs is just very overprotective, or maybe jealous?
I think I've had roommates that, especially in college, that are very opinionated about guys that I date. And it seems like maybe it's her own projection of what she wants. But yeah, it seems like there's a motive there. I don't
Could be a
really
little
know.
jealousy then, if it's what she wants.
It could be.
Maybe she's had a secret crush on Sean all
Deirdre.
along. Oh, maybe.
Or, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know anything, but
that would be real motivation.
Yeah.
So she's upset about it though, which I think is kind of not understandable.
if it were real life and you walked in on your roommate going at it on the kitchen table, it's upsetting. It's like, this is a common area, don't do that.
Well, about the kitchen table, yes, but about the guy, totally different.
Right, completely. And it's enough that it's in a storyline. It's not just like, oh, this happened, you know? So yeah, there's definitely something there.
It's just kind of like the pot calling the kettle black when she's upset with Deirdre for hooking up with Sean, who's a cop, and then she goes and hooks up with Duffy, who just got out of jail.
Yeah.
She's like, "Don't you want something better for yourself?"
Yeah, that's what I
right.
mean, is that it's weird. That's why I think maybe it's partial payback and partial is actually attracted to him. Maybe the initial thought was, I'm gonna get back at Deirdre, but then I don't know.
I need a male perspective on this. Phil, you seem a little quiet. Are you on somebody's side here? He's like, I'm Team Sean. I feel like he's Team Sean.
he's like, next topic.
Well, I'm I don't necessarily condone it, but I'm Team Sean in terms of what he did at the end with breaking John's car.
I love that.
Which I originally when we
Wait,
were.
what? That's when you're Team Sean? When he goes after John's car? With the
He's like
frickin'
wasted.
pipe?
You don't mess with another man's car. If he wanted to break his face, I
You
feel
don't
like
mess
I'd
with
be-
a man's love.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
fine.
I
Yeah,
love
he
that.
should've- If he wanted to take that pipe to this other dude's face, or,
Yeah, but he didn't
That's
know
okay.
him.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly.
He had no idea who he was. He was like a stranger
It's
to
not
Sean.
his friend. He's
Yeah.
not like, this isn't breaking bro code. It's not
He
like
should
your
be
boys.
mad at Deirdre, not at the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, who wouldn't want to sleep with Deirdre?
Obviously,
Right.
she's a hottie, and
Yeah.
she's totally got her stuff together. Like,
Yeah.
Why wasn't he thinking more rationally after that shooting and drinking 3/4 of a bottle of whiskey?
Yeah.
Great point. Great point. I'm giving him a little too much credit right now.
I mean-
yeah, no, it's true. But I was really, really surprised with this twist that took place here, because last week we talked about the fact that I felt like maybe Deirdre and Sean would work for a little bit, and they would be together, and they'd be I call them the Rachel and Ross of this series, because they'll be together, and then they'll break up, and they'll go back together. But tonight, we see that Sean's kind of all in, and Deirdre's like, no, buddy, which I love when they gender reverse here. Like, it's always the girl who's like, please, please, please. They always show that on TV, so I love what they did.
Not to be negative, but do you think it's because of all the negativity towards her from Duffy, from the roommate?
Do I think because of all the negativity that she's anti?
Yeah, you know what I mean? When people are like, oh, you shouldn't do this, and oh, you're falling for him, and then...
I think because she says in the beginning of the series that she wants to do something with her life, and to her that probably means, okay, not settle down and get married right away. Like I think she went to school at Sarah Lawrence.
She wants to be a journalist.
Yeah, and I understand as a woman, it's like you might feel like getting married means like having kids, and then you might not get to like explore what you want to do.
I'm just going to say, there's a murder to report, and you weren't there.
Okay, that's what you're thinking. I'm thinking about the love square, and you're thinking about the murder. So I guess we can talk about the shooting.
Well, I'll just say there's a murder. Awesome.
Speaking to women having kids, I mean, when the first episode, I was like, Christina's way too young to have a boy as old as James. Like, so is your character, how old is your character are you supposed to be?
I mean, I'm supposed to be probably like in my mid-30s, and I think at that time, people had kids when they were 20, 18 or 20. Yeah. And I think it was a situation where...
he's 13, correct, James?
Yeah, he's 13. Yeah. So that means I would be like 33. But I think, from what I built for Christine is that she met Terry, and he was older, but she was much younger, and they fell in love, and it's his second marriage, which I don't know if that comes up yet.
I don't think so. I don't think we've heard of that.
No. That's news.
That's exciting.
Did I just spoil it?
No, it's great. I love
it's not a big thing that gets explored yet, but I love it because Eddie told me one day on set, like later in the season, he's like, yeah, my second wife and I'm like, wait, what? You're telling me now that you were married before? Like,
oh my God, you're gonna divorce him now?
Yeah, I'd be like, who's this bitch?
Yeah, who is she? Bring her in. You're gonna take it back to her car.
Yeah, but I guess in my head, like logically, it played out that being pregnant probably earlier in the 60s was more common, and that you were married at a young age and
absolutely,
yeah. So that can be why that's what everyone's doing, and she's the opposite. She doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, and I love seeing those because we've got two strong females on the show right now that we're focusing on. Yeah, and then there's also Fortune and there's Babs and whatever. But the two of you guys right now, I feel like you are living different lives, and neither one of them is right or wrong. They're just completely different paths. So it's interesting to see how those are perceived in this time period.
But it's also interesting that Deirdre doesn't think that she can have like a life partner and a career.
Mm-hmm. Well, we hear a little bit more about her dad tonight, and I think that probably has a lot to do with the way that she views relationships, and that her dad was pushed off of the building for whatever it was. I mean, we heard about that from Duffy when he was telling Babs. Deirdre's never told Babs, and they're roommates, and I would assume best friends.
It's also probably the time period too. Like in the 60s, I think so much was changing for women, so I think now you can say, yeah, sure, I can have a career and have kids. Like, people do it all the time. But in the 60s, I feel like it was probably less of a common accepted thing.
Definitely less of a thing.
Maybe one or the other, or maybe difficult to do both at the same time.
But even a relationship, I feel like she doesn't
think
she
that's
can
true.
have. And
I think she senses, though, that he's, like, clinging on.
Let me put a baby inside you.
And she probably really has feelings for him. I mean, there's like definitely chemistry there. It's like,
but here's also too. I mean, interestingly enough, she was kind of like his therapist very early on, and part of it could be
after the passing of his dad.
You know what I mean? So he's emotionally trying to pass off in whatever way he's trying to deal with that and latch onto anything that he can, which is her. And so whether or not the feelings are actually real could be debated.
I completely agree with that, and also the fact that he has never experienced a woman not wanting him. It seems like every woman, all of the prostitutes that he has picked up, but that still just like flirt with him. All these other people we hear from Duffy tonight that he's a pig about the pussy or something.
That's
it was like that he's been really gross about this, and he sees a lot of women. I don't mean gross because I don't mean to judge him. I'm just saying that he sees a lot of women. So obviously he isn't somebody who settles down. down. Now that he wants to settle down with Deirdre, it's probably a lot because of the fact that they connect, they've known each other a while, but also the fact that she doesn't want to, and she isn't clinging to him like most people.
Playing hard to get.
Yeah, it's desirable. I don't even think she's playing hard to get, though. She just is hard to get.
Yeah.
Which is the most desirable thing I think he would find in a woman, which is interesting. Okay, so let's talk about, instead of this love square, I want to move into the shooting. We got 2 shootings tonight. A good shooting. See what I did there? Ha 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 ha. I was distracted. Okay, so here's what happens. We got to go see what's going on with Davis. We're going there kind of on a limb. We're Charlie and we're Terry, and we're like, all right, what's the deal? What's the deal? We found these dead bodies. It was this bar. They go, and Davis does one of the, is it Davies or Davis? Davis. Davis does one of the dumbest things he could possibly do, which is let everybody know that he obviously is guilty. Like, play it cool, dude. Play it cool. Were you guys thinking that they knew 100% what was going on? I mean, I was so surprised that he just started shooting through the door. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, starting with not going to work. Just go to work. Like, go through all the motions.
He needs to read like a book on this. What you should do to not look suspicious.
I think he was just uber paranoid about everything, and so
he should be.
Right. So Terry and Charlie identified themselves at the door, right?
Yes.
So he knew. Okay.
Yeah, but if they didn't knock down his door, they're like, "Hey, we're here. Open up."
To be fair, I mean, Terry is pretty aggressive every time he knocks.
He's an aggressive knocker.
Terry Muldoon, open up. Yeah.
You hear that and you're like, crap.
Yeah, he was sitting there like drinking too or something.
Yeah.
He looked really kind of suspicious even before he was planning on shooting. I don't know why he was really bad about playing that off.
I assume
he's not
he was,
in this
like,
world.
up drinking all night, and it was the morning I think when they went over there. So yeah, that's never a good start to the day.
Wasted at 8 a.m.
We can tell that he's not like Rusty though, and he's not like Richie. He's not like these guys who all would have played it cool.
Yeah.
They all would have sat there and been like, "What can I do for you, officer?" Like, he just starts shooting through the door. So he really can't handle this. He obviously shoots Charlie, who ends up, just asking for a little bit of whiskey, but instead we do the smarter thing and take him to the hospital, where we meet his very hysterical German mother. I loved watching this scene. I actually think, have we seen her before? Where we're reintroduced to his mom. I love when she comes into the picture because she is like comic relief on this show. After the big shooting, I needed her for a minute. I think she killed it.
Back to Davis really quick. Do you think there's a chance that he did that to get taken to jail originally? Like, maybe his thoughts were like, I should just go to jail because I'm safer there. I don't have to get involved with this anymore.
Then you open up the door and you
but
say,
then
like,
he
I'm
realizes,
going.
but then he realizes he should just run away. I don't know.
No, I think that he just is not in this world and thought that. I don't think he was thinking.
Yeah, he wasn't
Drunk,
thinking.
gun,
Sure.
shoot, what, like, that was
Don't
the
shoot
whole
a cop.
Yeah, I don't
please.
think "Don't Shoot a Cop" is like a recent thing. Yeah, it's been around.
Yeah, it's been around.
That's not like he knew who was at the door. He shot a cop. He could have killed a cop. If he had killed a cop, he would have been. I was gonna say he would have been totally screwed, but
He's already
screwed anyway.
He's dead, so
I
don't get much screwed than that.
Like, he even shot, he didn't know where they were, but he shot somewhere where they could be rather than, like, up into the door. What, you know what I mean?
But why would he shoot up? What's the point of even shooting?
I don't know.
Why would you want to scare him? Open the door.
I don't understand his line of thinking regardless.
Yeah, because it's not like he could kill both unless he started shooting like a crazy person.
But he doesn't do that.
Yeah, he just shoots him in the arm and then he stops.
I don't know what his goal was. His goal was being drunk.
He really didn't. Yeah.
Anna, I keep hearing the voice in my head. Oh yeah, it's straight up thinking really well after this glass of whiskey, whatever. Like, yes, they're drunk. They're drunk on the show, so they make stupid decisions as people do in life. So after this, though, obviously they're pissed. Terry goes on, I need to find this cop shooter, as all cops, I think, would do. And Terry takes Sean with him because he gets a phone call from his connection at the bar. They say where he is. He goes with Sean. And they go to this place, and this was one of the most interesting moments of the episode for me because I was really surprised with Sean. The gun is on Terry. Davis has a gun on Terry.
Two guns.
And Sean has a gun on Davis and isn't shooting him. And Terry's screaming at him to shoot him, and he's not doing it. Is this the first person that he's killed?
I
Why?
know.
What's the hesitation? Why? How could we possibly rationalize this?
I think it's the first time he's ever shot somebody.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I got from it too. Yeah.
And do we think that that is going to really affect his character? I mean, we
Well,
saw
I think
tonight.
that's why he's drunk.
He goes into
Yeah.
a raging, like drinking, smashing cars.
Yeah, but that's in the immediate. I mean, in general.
Yes.
If this is his first killing, that changes a person. You would have to assume.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance he gets very almost cynical just with everything. Like, Deirdre doesn't want me. I just murdered someone. And he kind of spirals
My
out.
dad is dead.
Yeah, my dad, who I hated, is dead and spirals out of control. I see his character kind of going into this crazy, just dark.
By the way, he wasn't even praised for the kill. I mean, he was being scolded right after of like, you should have shot faster. I mean, he should have.
Yeah.
I
But it-
understand why he was being scolded.
No, I get that, but even in that sense, like I couldn't even do. Yes, not only did I shoot somebody and kill him, I couldn't even do it right.
Yeah, and yeah, there were. I totally get your point that there not only was nobody saying like it was a good kill, like you did the right thing. Nobody
like, are
was
you
saying,
emotionally okay?
Are you okay? Right? Yeah, that it was right to like shame and you messed up. And,
Wouldn't the fellow cops know that this was his first kill if it was? That he had never killed somebody? Wouldn't that be common knowledge, or is that not the kind of thing that...
They track or anything.
Yeah. I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
Because I
Yeah.
think if Terry did know, I do think Terry's a sensitive enough person that he would have...
I don't know. I mean, one of the things that we'll talk about when he's tough on the family.
He is very tough on the
Well,
family.
that was very intense when he was yelling at him when he walked away after the cops came. It seemed like there was, for me, the most intensity from Terry Muldoon. The way he was like, next time you better shoot, and he kind of just like shoved him instead of seeing, like, clearly he was going through something, like, I can't believe I just killed a guy, and Terry was really hard on him,
Right.
even after the fact.
Do you think Terry was thinking, I almost just died?
Yeah.
And so he wasn't being considerate of Sean's feelings?
Right, yeah.
Of course, especially because of the
Yeah.
conversation going into it, and Sean's like, "What do we do if we find him?" And he's like, "You shoot
better
him in the
kill him."
head.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you do."
He
This
tried
guy
to kill me
shot
the
him.
first time. So.
Right. I think that it's really insane that Davis didn't kill Terry. Like, he had gone on him for a long time. He was it wasn't like a second hesitation. This was a really long hesitation.
Yeah.
It was like a 5-minute scene. I mean, pretty much like
Right.
There was like back and forth. Shoot him.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to die. No, shoot him.
If I was Terry, I have to say I'd be really upset with Sean too. I think that yes, you can be understanding, and things did work out in your favor. So it's kind of like all's well that ends well.
Right.
But at the same time, you've got to teach him a lesson. He's younger than you. He's
You just
greener
had
than
two
you.
guns on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's not saying like I'm gonna get you off of the force or whatever. He's saying next time don't f up because I'll end up dead, which he will.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought that he reacted completely fairly. Okay. Any other thoughts on the shootings that happened?
Well, I think this ties into the family. I think one of the Terry just had blinders on about. I mean, he left. He didn't explain anything that was going on
At the family dinner?
at the family dinner, and so if they found out that he got shot, and this was the reason, I think that was going through his mind.
We saw what Christine was like when she found out that Terry was with Charlie when he got shot.
Yeah,
Imagine
because
if
she
had
knew that
known-
he was fine, but still was crying outside
Right.
of the station.
Imagine if she had known at the family dinner, he was like, "Sorry, honey, be right back. I'm just gonna go after the person that shot Charlie." She would have
kill him.
handcuffed him to the table. She would have been
Yeah.
like, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
So I understood why he didn't say anything. He's like, "I'm just going to deal with something no biggie."
Right.
Like something very low key. But this family dinner was really interesting. First of all, I love that they're doing Sunday night family dinners. Very Italian.
Yes.
It's very East Coast. It's like I thought that this was a really realistic part of the show and a great way to bring everybody together. Sometimes I feel like shows don't know how to bring everybody in the same room, so it's like, what can we throw a party for?
Yeah.
Like,
A wedding, a funeral, something.
exactly. So this was like, just your average family dinner. And that's what it seemed like. It seemed like this kind of thing happens all of the time. We start to learn a lot of different information as people do at family dinners.
I love the jabs. It's like, she didn't cook that dinner.
I cooked it.
That made me laugh, like really laugh very
so
hard
harsh.
too.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily harsh.
I thought it was kind of necessary for the audience. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So we start learning about the Rusty Kay situation. Earlier, we got a phone call from Rusty to Kay. They're seeing each other Monday morning. They can't see each other Sunday because she's with the family. But Christina, I know you thought this part was so interesting that she ended up telling Ina all the information.
Yeah.
Or some of the information.
Yeah, I did. I thought it was strange because, well, not strange. I guess it just really kind of opened our eyes to the fact that clearly Kay and Ina are close, and Kay has a past, maybe not with just Rusty, maybe with other guys. And Ina was kind of like, well, you know, what did she say?
You, it won't end there.
Yeah, knowing you, it won't end there with the phone call. So clearly she knows that Kay has a past. And I don't know, I'm interested to see how that relationship develop, like with things with Rusty and then things with Ina and Kay, if that goes anywhere, or if Ina says something to someone to bring the attention that Kay and Rusty are getting together.
You know what the interesting part to me is that, you know, speaking of you mentioned they all get together, right? And as a family, they should kind of deal together with all this stuff. And yet, every single one of these people is dealing with this murder in their own different way and not even talking about it.
As people do.
But it's interesting because, you know, you had the whole Sean and Kay interaction. He's like, you know, people know not to talk about it in front of me. And
Right.
you know, Mike's doing it his own way. Terry's telling him not to do it. And, you know, meanwhile, Kay's hearing this, but she's not really stepping in. So it's just kind of interesting to watch that
They're
one's
not
talking.
talking about it. Yeah.
I think that if they were, then this mystery would have been solved. And I think the whole point why Terry doesn't want people talking about it is Terry doesn't want the mystery to be solved, because then he knows there's going to be a war.
Well, it also brings up a lot of feelings, I think, on everyone's end. And if they're trying to have a nice family dinner and someone, you know, it's like bringing up the elephant in the room, I guess. I don't know.
This pasta is great. By the way, who killed your uncle?
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird transition, although I wouldn't put it past this family.
Yeah.
Seems
That's
like
true.
they're spilling a lot out onto the table.
But earlier when we were talking about, is this a dangerous move for Mike? I think this is a dangerous move for Kay. Like, she's going to go investigating this murder, like, with Rusty. I think she's in danger.
Well, Rusty's the safest person she could probably be with right now.
I don't know if that's
until-
true.
No, I think that he's completely emotionally erratic and not a safe person.
And insane.
Yeah, and completely insane.
And
yes.
murders a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
But he doesn't want to murder her. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Not yet.
yet. Yeah, just wait
Yeah.
for him to get angry. Just wait until he
get
gets
each other.
jealous. Just get, you know, I mean.
And
she
he's
also-
murdering people in such a personal way.
Yep.
He's not shooting them. He's strangling them against his body and
And getting
he's
away
crazy.
with it. And getting away with it all. And Ina isn't the only person that Kay's talking to about Rusty. She also kind of mentioned something to Terry. And she says something, I'll make some of my own phone calls. Seems like a lot of people, it's not just like an inner circle. People are starting to know what's going on here, which makes me really nervous for Kay. Really nervous.
Do you think there's a chance? I mean, this might be a stretch, but do you think there's a chance when Kay talks to Rusty about the situation, he says, well, I killed him for you?
when Kay talks to
When
Rusty?
Kay talks to Rusty
mean
about
on
who
Monday?
killed O'Bannon,
I don't think they're talking on Monday. I think that they're screwing.
but she said she was going to talk to him
Pillow
about
talk,
it, right?
Pillow talk.
Yeah.
She said she's going to talk to him about it.
So,
I
like,
don't-
is there a chance that happens? That he
Yes.
says, I love you, I killed him so we can be together?
Or so he stops hitting you.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we can't forget that he was abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rusty clearly cares about her, so
Yeah.
it plays a huge part. It definitely does. Oh, the other thing, speaking of Rusty, though, we found out tonight, or at least I didn't know this, maybe one of you picked up on this, is that Rusty had a brother that moved to California, and I don't know what happened to him. I think his name was Jerry.
The
or-
actor.
Yeah.
Of course, he went to California for
Right,
acting.
acting.
Right, we talked about that before, but I
over,
don't think
guy.
we know we know what actually ends up happening. So when I think this is even a bigger situation that his dad he left the business to not either of his sons, because one son wanted to leave, the other one really wanted it, but he leaves it to somebody who's not dead, and and not as relevant. So I just wanted to point that out. But okay, the biggest thing that we find out tonight for your character, we've got the whole report card situation, whatever it is. But for me, the biggest thing was that Terry kind of was letting you in a little more on his life, telling you what's going on a bit. Like, this is the situation, because we've seen you've been kept in the dark. We found that out at the dinner the other night when you didn't know as much information as Vince's wife did.
Yeah.
So is this like a turning point? Is this where maybe he starts opening up after 13 plus years, or do we feel like maybe you're kind of getting filtered information along the way?
I think this is definitely a turning point. I think she knows, obviously, he's a cop, so he can get shot at any time. But yeah, things at the dinner where she realizes, oh, maybe he's hiding things, or there's a lot of things I don't know that's more dangerous than he's letting on. And I think, he starts to see that she's getting a bit unsettled and upset about it. And I think he's giving her kind of like small doses of what she's kind of figuring out on her own.
Which could be helpful or could really hurt the relationship.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say earlier, and you told me not to forget, and I didn't.
Yes!
Yay!
Couple from air!
Yes. I think Mike did something very damaging when he talked to Christine, and is that he said, Terry's full of crap, he's always been full of crap. And so now I think that...
And that's coming from his father.
Right. I think that makes her question everything.
Right.
Everything that Terry says, and she knows that he does give a lot of excuses and whatever, so I feel like everything he says now she's going to be questioning. And I think, when she goes and cries in the bathroom, which was such a powerful scene, great job.
Oh, thanks.
You really did an amazing job.
Yeah, it really was. But I felt like I couldn't tell whether it was because she was scared for his life, or her whole world is being turned upside down, because she's like, that whole story that he gave about like, oh, my father came home and he said this, and is she questioning whether
the family,
is she questioning whether that's a real story, or so I don't know, but I just felt like
I think that to her is a real story. It seems very genuine from him, and she believes that. I think there's a lot of other things that maybe she's like, maybe he's not telling me the truth when he comes home, where he's been, how much money we have, things like that. I think she starts questioning. And also, I think she genuinely loves him. And I think when your husband gets shot at, regardless of if he's a cop and he's been a cop, I think it's emotionally like, oh crap, we need to get out of here, or maybe we need to make a change, because also with the kids being in this neighborhood, it's like, I think she wants more peace and calmness in the life. And I think it's not panning out that way.
Right. I think from my perspective, it was sort of confirmed for her tonight when he says like there's friends that will take care of you. So number one, that means that there's money. And when she asked like, do I know these people? Some of them. So that goes back to the point of like he's just filtering her information so she doesn't go out and look for it herself, that she's fed just enough to keep quiet for the time being.
But not only is he doing that, but I feel like she's actually starting to ask more questions. Obviously, we didn't see their life for the past 13, 15 years, but we have seen recently she is asking though, what do you mean, and all of that. I feel like there's a reason for that, and I'm not even going to save it for predictions. I'm just going to say it now, that I feel like maybe there's a change going on in her life. Maybe she's going to end. Maybe she's pregnant.
That's what I was thinking too.
Maybe
when
she's
you
pregnant, or maybe something's up that she's like, we need to move. We have to get out of here. We don't have space. I have to know the answers. Something I feel like is clicking for her, and I feel that there's got to be something behind it.
No, when she was crying at the end, I thought we were going to see, I don't know whether they had pregnancy tests in the 60s. I think
it was the second time she needed the bathroom.
Yeah, so I totally thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Are we hot or cold?
I mean, I don't want to give it away though. Something changes for sure.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel like this is a different you, that something's going on that we don't know about.
Because you're right, they've been married for 13 years, so it's like, why now?
Right.
Exactly.
I feel like at some point she would have started asking if she was that kind of person, so something changed.
And I think O'Bannon getting killed, I think because he's a family member, that like definitely feels more heightened than normal. I mean, it's not like a stranger that dies, it's like a person that's in the family.
Of course.
So I think she feels like the infiltration from the outside, and that things are, I think that dinner was a big awakening too, because this other wife is like, yeah, we have this money, and you're getting money from, whoever, the hookers, or, so I think she's like, oh, maybe I don't know as much as I should, or what's going on there?
Yeah, but, I mean, one of the they always have that little teaser of like, everyone's making money and no one's getting hurt. I mean, the whole show is based around the fact that every week
someone's dying.
Yeah, we get 1 or 2 murders every single week.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from Davis, we also got Smitty and Sully.
Right,
They're dead.
Which is why the other thing I was thinking, because we know that this show isn't afraid to kill people off, and we know that this show has a lot of foreshadowing. So I'm a little worried about James. We hear tonight, like, if my kids found that body, we'd be moving, or this place isn't safe, we have to get out of here. James is messing up on his report card. James is doing all these things. I'm scared something's going to happen to him. And then also, just the way that Terry treats James, I don't know if he'll be able to live with himself if something happens to James. He's kind of just like, he's very, very harsh on him. We talk about it the entire dinner, too. Mm-hmm. Even you think he's harsh on him.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's tough being the mother of a husband that is very harsh, because you also want to put your foot down too, but you don't want to have 2 people yelling at you all the time. So, I mean, I think I say in the pilot, like, he needs to try a softer touch with him. I try to like get him to move in a different direction, even though I want to be hard on James about his school and getting drunk. I mean, that's not something you want your kid to be doing at 13.
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
Right.
Those family situations really, I think, are so incredibly well acted and written, and the whole thing. Like, I'm so invested in your guys' family right now that I don't know what's gonna happen. If something happens to somebody, I'm gonna lose it.
You'll come to the Muldoon's funeral.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Fly in New York, and I'm also inventing a time machine. So
Yeah, and we can all dress up.
yeah, I'll get there.
I think the tough part is, in terms of James, he's hiding that information from him too, and so when you're someone like James, I mean, imagine the stereotypical, you throw ball with your dad and things like that, and you can kind of relate with your dad, and you go to work with your dad, and these are all things that he doesn't have a direct day-to-day male role model that he can be with. Mm-hmm. It's always just that scolding. And then,
it's tough love.
Yeah, no offense to mom, like, especially when you're at that age as an adolescent, the last thing you want to be doing is hanging out with mom.
Yeah, it's true. She's probably like, oh, well, she's talking again. Or, he wants to, be cool with his dad, I guess.
Yeah.
Go for a ride with his dad without being scolded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see James going down the gangster path, frankly. Like,
Really?
we always had that interaction at O'Bannon's wake. And
You can't be with that guy, though.
well, that's true, but
There's plenty of gangsters out
there
there.
are plenty of gangsters, and like
yeah.
you said, he does need a strong male role model. So I think if some of these guys come and take
Rusty?
James under their why not?
Remember how
Be a smart move for Rusty.
infatuated James was
would
with O'Bannon's dead body too, and wanting to like touch it,
Yeah.
and not in a weird way, in like an interested
Curious,
way,
yeah. And he asked for Patton. He's like, "Where's the big guy? Or where's Patton?" And Terry's like, "What do you want to know about Patton? Like, why are you curious about Patton?"
Yeah.
So I think it's a small neighborhood. He probably hears things, even though he's only in middle school.
Right.
There's stuff going around, and he wants in a very like childish way.
Well, they live in a one-bedroom apartment, too,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, so I'm sure he overhears conversations.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I mean,
course.
yeah, it's really small.
5
We're sleeping
people.
in the living room.
I want to know a bit more about your character and if we can expect to see things more from your perspective. Because, like I said, tonight was the first night where we followed you into the bathroom. Usually you go to the bathroom and we sit, but now we're really seeing things
Yeah.
from your view.
Well, she starts becoming more proactive later in the season. So I think,
What does it mean?
I know you
yeah,
can't just
yeah, I
gloss
think
over it.
instead of being emotional about it and being like, "Oh no, I'm so sad," like she actually is like, "No, this is what's gonna happen," and starts to make moves, like whether Terry likes it or not. And
That must be fun for you because you seem like a go-getter.
yeah, I think she's just upset, and I think when you have kids, you become like Mama Bear, and you're like, I gotta protect these guys no matter what's going on with whatever he's doing, because I have no idea what he's doing. And it's definitely nice to have more like proactive things go on as the character instead of just being the person that's responding to everything. You definitely see stuff develop more later in the season with her.
I love it. Okay, I want to get to some predictions before we get into a little bit more. I know you got some projects you got going on.
Yeah.
So we'll get there.
Now, your AFTERBUZZ TV
Prediction.
The one thing that I don't, not the one thing, I'm sure there's a million things we didn't mention because the show, there's so many little details of it that I love, but something that I wanted to say that I don't even know what my prediction is, maybe you guys have one, is that we find out the other prostitute's name tonight. We find out that it's Ruby. Do you guys think that that's because we're going somewhere with that? I mean, obviously we're going somewhere, but where we're going or any other predictions you have?
Yeah, I've said this before. I'm maintaining that it's Patton's granddaughter.
That it's
Rosemary?
Rosemary? Yeah.
Mary Bell, yeah.
Pulling a Phil over here, just making up names.
They all have nicknames, I'm telling you. I got 3 of them.
You guys all do have. You have 16 names. Yours we can get down, Christine, but everybody's their first name, their last name, their nickname.
There's so many names.
Yeah,
like
There's so many
Beantown,
characters.
Sean.
Yeah. And you got Duffy with the last name first. Yeah, everybody does. But what do you guys think? Other predictions?
I think that's a great prediction. I didn't think of that. I know that they wouldn't have mentioned that we found out her name if it wasn't of importance, you know? So something is going to happen with that other hooker, you know, finding out who she really is. And maybe she has some other weird connection or something to do with it. But I think that's a great prediction, Anna, that it's Rosemary. Our Rosemary Ruby. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, yeah.
So what are you thinking?
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree.
We don't have to. We're
don't.
just predicting.
I think that I'm really worried. The conversation Vince and P. Mac had, the fact that Vince is the one we know has been loose-lipped, his wife knows all this, and now he's on Mac's case about it. I think you're the one who's going to get everybody in trouble, Vince. You're the one who's going to spill the beans to somebody, or your wife. So I predict that something bad goes down there. Too much foreshadowing for it to just go safe.
Yeah, I like that.
Thanks.
Who thought Charlie was going to just quit the business and become a pimp?
I said that tonight. I said, honest to God, I said that when we were watching. I don't think he's going to quit, but I think that with this whole fortune thing, I think that now that he's been shot and his mom's all in his ear and the daughter, whatever, I think he's going to want to make more money so he can retire earlier. So I think he's going to really
Pimp it out, yeah.
I do.
Oh my God.
I think he's going to be a full-blown pimp.
I don't think it's a far reach, Phil. I think
I
it's
don't think so either.
quite possible.
Kind of already started.
Yeah,
already
he's just
offered.
not really
Yeah.
taking any money yet.
Yeah.
It's not that
He already has one employee.
Yeah, but that was the world's worst conversation. Like, well, what do you want out of it? Nothing.
Yeah,
Okay.
but once he starts offering
It
that
always
protection,
starts that way.
Yeah.
Nothing in the beginning.
Yeah.
Taste is free.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay, so now I have to ask Liz about your predictions. I know you know more than us, but what do you?
I know, she's like, how am I going to predict?
No, well, yeah, but what's something that we should be looking for? What storyline should we be really looking forward to? Is there anything you can tell us? Well, you already told us a little bit that your character is going to be more proactive, so that's a prediction.
I think definitely the relationship between Sean and Deirdre gets played out much more. They get closer, I'll say that. And and then later on I start taking up my father-in-law and his offer, and that definitely causes a lot more tension between Terry and his dad. So you were right on there with that kind of relationship.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Those are good ones.
I think it's hard because she definitely gets handed this thing, and she wants to make a change, and she's also not really trusting Terry right now, and she wants more, and he's giving her like little tidbits, which isn't really. I feel like it's hard to be the person that's kind of, you know, that they're going through something and you're not really like some friends, or, you know, it's like
It's
so
not enough.
unspecific. And it's like, what do? You know, like, do you keep nagging him, or are you just suck it up and do what you got to do?
It's too vague for her. She's
Yeah.
got to know more.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have her find out more. And when you find out more, then we find out more. So that's great.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how you're finding the time for this, but not only are you working on this project, but you're also directing a short right now. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about that, or where people can eventually find it, or what's going on?
Well, I read Ed's book, and I always liked producing, and I produced a short a couple of years ago, and I wanted to try directing, and I'd figured I'd go with a short instead of jumping into a feature right away. And I feel like poetry is kind of a dying thing, so I wanted to do a poetry film and bring, you know, just pick a piece of poetry that I liked and make it cinematic and tell a story through that. And I feel like I was really inspired by Maya Angelou and her poem Phenomenal Woman. So I casted Danielle Brooks from Orange is the New Black. Like, she was generous enough to come and do it.
Do you guys know each other? Or
we have a friend in common,
Oh,
but I
okay.
never had met her before.
That is generous then.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I think she probably
'Cause
respects your work and thinks that you're awesome. So I don't know if it's
Well, I think our friend probably put in a good word
Yeah.
for me, and she also loves Maya Angelou in this poem, and it was just going to be about her and the story. So it's basically, the poem is the voiceover for the story, and we follow this woman in a day of her life, and we're on the streets of New York, and then we go to Rockaway, Queens, and we're at the beach. It's supposed to be like a very inspirational short video that I'll probably try to put on some short film websites and sites or organizations geared towards female empowerment and
so
all that.
people who want to be able to find it, they can follow you and you'll tweet it out when
Oh,
it's
yeah,
eventually
totally.
available. So where, once again, where can they find you on all the
I'm
social media platforms?
On Twitter, I'm at Liz Misucci, and on Instagram, I'm Elizabeth Misucci.
Well, we really
Yeah.
appreciate you coming in today.
Thanks for
and
having
thank
me.
you.
This is
Thanks for
fun.
letting us pick your brain.
I loved it.
We got some good juicy tidbits to go forward.
Yeah, I didn't want to give too much away.
No, you gave a perfect amount.
Okay.
And you couldn't give too much away. We're going to keep watching the show. 'cause
Okay,
it's our
good.
favorite, so no matter what. Okay, guys, in case they want to keep talking to you, which I'm sure they do, Tina Cap, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram or Twitter, like she said, at Tina Cap.
You can follow me at Koppel for Mayor, KOPPELFORMAYOR.
And check us out here every week. We've got hopefully other guests lined up as well.
I think we have a guest every single week coming in now, or at
If
least
all goes
calling in,
according
so-
to plan.
Yeah, we got
That's
a lot.
great.
We got a lot of you guys.
There's a lot of us, so you're going to be good for the rest of the
You'll
season.
put in a good word. You'll say,
Yeah.
okay, they didn't torture me too
No,
much.
I will never.
You guys can find us at AfterBuzz TV, AfterBuzzTV.com, YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV, on iTunes, on SoundCloud. You can find me at Roxy Striar, and you can find us next week, same time, same place, talking about your favorite show, Public Morals.
Why did you...
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.